Welcome to the ED Post Sports Chat. I'm Drew Rubenstein. I'm here with veteran University High football coach John Kelley. Appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Drew. Appreciate being here.
And Coach, MoHawk Bowl week again for you. You've been in a part of a number of these. Is this week different, or how much different is this versus the rest of the season?
Well, it's a special week. I mean, it's a crazy week, but at the same time, I mean, it's a wonderful community event. I mean, it's nice that it's turned into what it's turned into. I mean, this is the one game everybody shoots for, the one game everybody gets behind. A lot of sponsors, a lot of people put stuff in their windows, and old alumni come back out. So it's a very special time, but at the same time, it's hectic and it takes away from some of the focus and concentration you need. But you have to just trade that off for the benefit, I guess.
Absolutely, and I guess just kind of looking at the makeup of this game and series, was at Mountaineer Field for a while. Do you get the sense, fan-wise, community-wise, is it what it once was, or can it get back to where it was when it was at Mountaineer Field in the late 90s? Or
well, I think it's probably better that we do it at each place, because both of us have through the Board of Education and contributions from the community. We both have tremendous facilities. It would be a shame not to use them. And then, the last few times at Mountaineer Field became such a hassle with 9/11 and the security and all the things you weren't allowed to do, and so it really changed up the idea of going out there. I would say most of the games recently, both stadiums can hold the crowd, so it's not necessarily a benefit to go out there.
Looking at your team, returned quite a few key starters and stars, obviously looking to avenge right off the bat the game against Lewis County, and you guys did. Has this team progressed the way that you would have hoped for over the course of the season? Where are they right now?
No, I think they've actually progressed better. I mean, we expect them to be very good, being most of them, almost everyone were starters last year, and we expected a good year. This has kind of been the pinnacle, because they actually played as sophomores a good bit, but I actually, when it started at the beginning of the year, I looked on the schedule and thought there would be probably 3, maybe 4 games that would be very difficult games, and we handled them all very well. I mean, the loss to Wheeling Park is certainly nothing to shun or think that we did poorly. We made a mistake up there, and they got up on us, and then we came back and ran out of time. But they're a great team. But I had no idea going in what going to Greenbrier East was going to be like. We picked up Logan, didn't know anything about them. Parkersburg South seems to be down, but they were an excellent team last year, so we kind of worried about them. And then Brook, you never knew about them. So these guys have actually exceeded tremendously what I thought. I mean, they've blown some games out that I thought should be pretty tough games.
You know John Bowers well, Morgantown's program, same Mohegans team that they've been in past years, or when you've observed them this season, what do the Mohegans do well?
Well, they're always solid, well coached, and it's one of the premier programs in the state. I do get very frustrated when people say, well, you can't beat your county rival, you can't beat Morgantown High. I said this to Justin Jackson. Somebody needs to go back and look. Well, University High's since about 95 has beaten Morgantown more than any team in West Virginia. Now it's not very many times, but that's just a compliment to how good their program is. But this year's a little bit different. They've had some great backs with Weigel and Ura and some of those guys, but Chazzy puts a dimension that you don't see a whole lot of. Here's a guy that's going to win to Kennedy could probably rush for 500 yards in some of the games if he'd have played the whole game. And then they got the 2 D1 linemen. You don't see that very often on one team, and the other kids are pretty solid. And like I said, they're so well coached, and they got such a good program. This might be a little better than some of the teams they've had in the past.
Is that right? Okay. The power too. You mentioned not only Chazzy, but the Division I talent that they have on the line. Getting the Chazzy probably is an issue just before you even try to tackle him.
Here's the problem. I think Chazzy is one of the finest young men around, and he's a great running back. And like I said, he should win. He'd get my vote if I could vote for the Kennedy. But the problem is, and he'd be the first one to tell you because he's so humble. But that offensive line is a sea of humanity. No, they never get the credit they deserve. Linemen never get the credit, but those guys can just basically, they'll be wearing white jerseys and it could be a whiteout coming at you. You don't even know where Chazzy's at, and then he does that little rollback and he's into the secondary before you know it. So I think he would be the first to tell you that he would credit that offensive line for the success he's had. And I look at them offensively and defensively. They don't only have size, but they're great skill, and that's probably why 2 of them are Division I.
Speaking to MHS coach and players earlier in the week, the one thing that they mentioned about your team is the team speed, and it looks like it could be a matchup of power versus speed. What are some of the keys to the game that you see on Friday night?
Well, last year they were able to just grind on us. I mean, they got the ball and controlled it and controlled it and controlled it and just drove it right down our throat and scored, and then they'd get it back and do the same thing. Turnovers are always big, but I mean, I would imagine that they're probably correct. Our speed is probably, I would say, probably equal to Wheeling Park's speed, which gave them some trouble. And Martinsburg, I don't know anything about Martinsburg, but I bet they have great team speed too. So, it is what I told my kids. You can't play any bigger than you are, and you can't jump higher than you have been. You can't run faster than you have been. You just have to keep doing what you've been doing. I hope it doesn't get into a power versus speed thing. I just hope speed gives them problems in space.
Last one for you. You mentioned kind of the history with Morgantown High that you have. There's a lot kind of riding on this game. Obviously, conference title implications. Both teams are in the playoffs, but in terms of home seed, that stuff is on the line here as well. You also have a crop of players that haven't beaten Morgantown High. Do you use that as extra motivation, or do you really need any when you face Morgantown?
Again, people are going to criticize me. I guess that's what they get paid to do, but and I get paid to take it. But my approach has always been, this is 1/10 of the season. It's one game. I mean, I don't want to be Dana Holgerson-like and say that, but at the same time, there is a lot of implications. These kids know that if they win, they're going to play a home playoff game. They also know if they lose, they're going to be probably 10th and have to go on the road. They also know that the track is involved. The OVAC standings are involved. They know what's involved. I don't have to say anything to them. They all read the paper and they all look on the message boards and they know what's going on. And of course, they talk to their friends over at Morgantown High, so everybody knows what's going on. That's not the reason we need to beat them. We need to beat them simply because they're a premier program. You do it, and like I said, it's a freebie. You get to play a playoff game against a premier program that you have to go through to get the state title. And if you win, it's tremendous, and you go into the playoffs with a lot of confidence. If you lose, you get a freebie because you still get to get in the playoffs and try it. But I mean, this is a great measuring stick against, like I said, one of the top programs in the state and some great football players. And I just want to approach it that way. I don't like that extra motivation and all the special things that go on. Let's just treat it like it is. One game. These kids are pretty smart and they'll figure it out.
Absolutely. It should be a fun one. And Coach Kelley, wish you the best of luck and appreciate your time.
Thanks, Drew. Appreciate it a lot.
All right. Thanks.